Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'll be reviewing Pig. So Pig is a new film being released by Neon and it stars Nicolas Cage. And the movie itself follows the story of Nicolas Cage's character who lives out into the forest. He has this truffle hunting pig who's his close companion. He loves this pig so much and his pig is taken from him very early on in the film, and it's his mission to go and find the people that took his pig. Now on its face, this movie may seem really simple and it may kind of have a remnants of John Wick when you think about what happened with him and his dog. But it couldn't be more different than that. I don't like that some people seem to bill it as like a John Wick film. It's not that. It's a very somber film. It's a story about loss. It really dives deep into the themes of grief and the emotions that go into someone who's struggling to find their place in the world, having lost everything that they love. I won't dive too much into spoilers in this movie. I will talk about some of the things that you learn about halfway through the film. So if you want to go into it completely blind like I did, I actually highly recommend that. But to talk about the story, I have to dive into just a few little elements of the characters. So as far as Nicolas Cage's character, like I said, they set it up as this man who lives out in the forest, detached from society. He kind of wants to be his own man. He doesn't want to be attached to anyone or anything. And you slowly learn why that is throughout the film. And I think that his performance is so nuanced for, especially a Nick Cage performance, that it really hops off the screen in a way that I haven't seen in a long time, especially from him. I honestly think it's one of his best performances and definitely the best performance we've got from him in quite a while. He kind of has this knack of being this over-the-top, ridiculous character, but in this one, he's someone who is really struggling emotionally, someone who's very somber, someone who really captures the melancholy of someone who is going through a lot, emotionally, grief, everything going on in his life. And you get to really see that play out, and you get to see this arc of his character coming out of his shell a little bit and explaining life in a way that really touched me watching this movie. This movie is very emotional for being a movie that you think is just some guy trying to find his pig, but there's so much more than that right beneath the surface. Now, one of the things about Nicolas Cage's character in this movie is that he is a renowned chef. He kind of lived this life of being the celebrity chef, and now he's living out in the forest because of events that took place in his life. But you get to see him explain in a couple scenes what it's like to be attached to your work and finding purpose in life. There's, in fact, a really touching scene with him and a young child where he goes back to his home that he used to live in the city before he moved out into the forest and everything. And he's talking about how life used to be, how things were a little more simpler at those times. There's a different scene where he's talking to another chef who's trying to start his own restaurant. And he talks about how you don't just want to be trendy. You want to do the things you love, go after things you're passionate about. There's a lot of really good monologues from Nick Cage's character just about that idea of doing what makes you happy and going after what makes you happy and not being fake, not compromising who you are as a person. And I think there's a lot of really good messages. Like I said, it talks about so many different themes in this film. I wasn't expecting it from an hour-and-a-half movie about a guy looking for his pig. Alex Wolff also gives a really solid performance in this film. He plays the son of an exotic foods dealer, and you find out a little bit more what happens with his character and what's going on with his family relationships. But he's going along for this journey with Nick Cage's character, and he's learning something along the way. He's learning to be his own man in a way. So you have almost a coming-of-age little story with his character alongside Nick Cage, and that just really works. Like, everything works together. Their chemistry works really well on screen, having this kind of overly charismatic, overcompensating younger man with this grizzled old kind of veteran of the world, and how they come together and teach each other different things. I think the score actually works really well in this film to bring everything together. Like I said, it really pulls on your emotions at times, and it really builds itself as an emotional kind of powerhouse of a movie. And I think the score really works in those scenes. They know when to pull it in, when to pull it out, and just really bring everything together. There's a scene where Nicolas Cage really breaks down in the film. I feel like it really amplifies the impact of that scene because of the use of sound. They kind of draw it out. Instead of having, you think Nick Cage, the screaming, the acting crazy, they pull out the sound that moment. You just see the pain. You see the acting without the over-the-top nature of it. The cinematography is also very solid in this movie. It's a lot of darkness going on. A lot of it takes place at night. But they really do showcase the contrast of kind of the dirty, gritty city with the forest and how those two can come together and how they can commingle and create this symbiotic relationship with each other when they're talking about food or animals or things like that. So it really does work on those levels. So this movie is Michael Sarnowski's directorial debut, and I cannot wait to see what he does next because, like I said, this movie really worked. I think it worked on a lot of different levels that people weren't expecting. Honestly, I'd never seen the trailer. I saw the poster of this grizzled old Nicolas Cage, a movie called Pig, and it's like, let the hunt begin. I was like, what is this? Seems like it's going to be some crazy movie. But it really is such a somber film that packs a real emotional punch. So if I were to rate this movie, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I think it is that good. Honestly, in my opinion, it's my favorite movie of the year so far. Neon has been knocking it out of the park in the past couple years. They're really going for that top gauntlet for me of my favorite creators of film between them and A24. This is just such a great movie. I definitely recommend checking it out. If you're someone who likes these kind of more artistic, emotional films, I think you'll really enjoy it. If you're going into it expecting to be some ridiculous Nick Cage movie, you're going to be disappointed. But if you go into it expecting a really solid film, I think you're going to walk away more satisfied than you could ever think you could be. So if you are checking out Pig or you have seen Pig, let me know what you think about it. I don't know how general audiences will react to it because, like I said, I don't know if it's marketed in a way that you understand what it is. It is closer to maybe a First Cow than like John Wick or something like that. The way it's plotted out, like you look at it on paper. So I'll be interested to see people jump into it and they kind of are maybe disappointed that it isn't that, or they're really surprised at what it is, the end product. So again, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. See you guys next time.